Hello, everybody. Yesterday, we published our 2020 full year results, and this was the first time for our new CEO to communicate the results. And here he is. Good to see you, Conrad.
Good to see you, Kai. Good morning.
Good morning. So, Conrad, what is your perspective on last year?
Last year was an unusual year. It also was a difficult year for many of us, both from a personal as well as from a business perspective.
Yeah, I think our people had to adapt to a new situation. What have you heard about that?
Well, what I heard about it and what you can see in our results is that our people have adapted quickly to a new situation, that our people have changed their ways of working, have kept our business up and running.
What about operations? I mean, this is extremely difficult. They cannot work from home.
No, I find this particularly impressive, and I would like to thank all our colleagues in frontline operations for keeping our sites up and running. Even in areas that were affected by COVID, Clariant was able to keep its production sites open, to keep them up and running, to keep supplying product to our customers.
I'm sure you as an engineer are also interested in our big construction sites. What is your view on that?
Yeah, as an engineer, what I find impressive is that Clariant has been working on 3 major Capex projects in the last year amidst COVID. We did this in a way that safety was not compromised. We didn't have injuries. We even actually are delivering the projects on track, on schedule, which as an engineer, I find impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not only about production, but also in making sure products get to the customer at the end. Have we been able to really maintain this supply chain?
Yeah, you have heard there have been a lot of supply chain interruptions amidst COVID. There have been companies who literally had to shut down operations for prolonged periods of time. Again, I think it's a tribute to our frontline colleagues in our operations, in our sites, that they've been able to keep these up and running, keep these working. They've been very disciplined, and we didn't have any outbreaks at any of our sites. That has been a big achievement.
And Conrad, you know, for us at Clariant, it's really very important to also support our communities. This, I think, is also very challenging in these times of crisis. Have we been able to maintain the good relationships with our communities?
I've seen and heard about lots of initiatives. The one that I saw actually being presented to me was very interesting, where our Gendorf site shifted its production to the manufacturing of a cleaning gel, a disinfectant cleaning gel, which we donated to local hospitals. I think it's very nice that Clariant as a company is in a position to do these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So let me still get back to last year's result. You mentioned yesterday that you think the results are robust. On the other hand, a sales decline of 12% is quite significant and maybe even less than robust.
Yeah, a sales decline of 12% certainly would be less than robust. Let's keep in mind the Swiss franc acts as a safe haven in times of uncertainty. When you look at our results in local currency, our revenue declined by 5%. That is actually a very respectable result if you consider the challenging market conditions we've been operating in.
And you mentioned challenges. Which businesses suffered most?
Yeah, no doubt the business that suffered most was our de-icing chemicals business for airplanes and airports. Here we saw declines of 60 to 70% in top line revenue.
But I think the same applies to natural resources, namely oil. You mentioned that besides the COVID pandemic, the oversupply in oil, I think, was a big challenge for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, a big challenge. During the shutdowns, what you saw was a collapse in the demand for oil. People stopped flying, road transportation significantly declined. And indeed, we saw challenges in our OMS business with our chemicals for oil drilling, particularly the land oil drilling was down significantly.
And also the whole automotive industry, including the foundry business. I think here we certainly also see a certain impact, right?
Yeah, our Bentonite business, which is used for foundry, for casting metal parts for automotive, was negatively affected in the first quarters after, let's say, the first lockdowns. What you do see, though, is a remarkable recovery of automotive, and build rates were up in the fourth quarter, which we saw in our Bentonite business, and we see the same trend continue in the first quarter.
What about additives in this context?
Additives struggled earlier in the year as well, but also did see a pickup. Some businesses like our flame retardants, for example, saw a strong demand for products, electronics products. As people start to work from their home offices, the demand for these electronic products did actually pick up.
Mm-hmm. And on the positive end, so which of our businesses actually showed growth last year?
Yeah, on the positive end, if you look overall, our Care Chemical business was up if you would correct for the declines in de-icing. Overall, if you look at our catalysis business, it was up 1% in local currency. And if you look at natural resources, largely due to the headwinds in OMS, in the oil production, here the business was down 8% in local currency year on year.
Yeah, very good. And now let's maybe shift the focus to the future and the presence. What are your key priorities for 2021 now?
Yeah, our key priority for 2021 continues to be safety. Let's not forget that we're still amidst the pandemic, and this is far from over yet, unfortunately. Looking more at the business, let's not forget here as well that we are still facing severe headwinds, and in most of our businesses we have not recovered to pre-COVID levels. So cost and cash will remain to be a strong priority in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, here you aim at the profitability and the margin level. What specifically is it that you would expect businesses to do to defend or even improve margins this year?
Yeah, so on margins, well, first of all, on cost, it is not so much that we want to initiate new cost reduction initiatives. It's very much implementation of the programs that we announced last year. As far as margin improvement or defending our margins might be a better word, it is also very important that we pass on raw material increases that we are currently experiencing in the market. We do need to be on top of that. Pricing is an important priority. We need to pass on these raw material increases to our clients.
Conrad, is this also the recipe to get back on a growth path?
It is important to keep investing in growth. It is important to keep investing in R&D, in our Capex projects, and the important ones are the new plant for Lycosene, the Catofin plant in China, and obviously the delivery by the end of the year of our new bioethanol plant in Romania.
Absolutely. Talk about bioethanol. I mean, this is one example for sustainable products. How important is sustainability now in this context?
Sustainability is important, and it will even become more important. What you see with the EU Green Deal, what you see with the China Green Dream Initiative, what you see with the US returning back to the Paris Climate Treaty is that sustainability for the first time is becoming a true global priority. This is a very positive development. This is an important development for Clariant.
Well, yesterday we also announced new, I would say, more ambitious emission reduction targets. Where do we stand here? Is this already the ambition level that you consider satisfying, or is it just a milestone and we certainly need to do more here?
Yeah, it's important to remind ourselves that Clariant was amongst one of the earliest adopters of sustainability. However, some of our competitors have caught up. So it was indeed important to increase our existing sustainability targets and introduce some new sustainability targets. The targets that we announced yesterday are industry leading again.
So Conrad, at the end of the day, sustainability is driven by customer demand. Have you already been able to talk to customers about this important topic?
I had a few video calls with our large important customers. The one for me that stood out was a video call that was set up by our colleagues in Care Chemicals with Unilever. It was very interesting to hear the ambition of Unilever to change their feedstock for the surfactants that they're buying from a fossil carbon-based source to a bio-renewable carbon-based source. This is very much aligned with our own target setting and ambitions.
Yeah, I think that's very motivating for us to hear that from you. Now, maybe the last topic I would like to raise is, of course, people are interested in your perspective on the recent developments at board level. Right before you started, we received a letter from SABIC, our biggest shareholder or anchor shareholder, with a request for an extraordinary dividend of 2 Swiss francs. How do you evaluate the situation when it started and how it has developed now?
Yeah, this request came in actually before I started in January. I'm very pleased that we have been able to resolve this situation. I'm particularly pleased that our board of directors unanimously has voted to recommend this 0.70 Swiss franc per share dividend at our next AGM meeting. This allows us to continue to invest in the business, to continue to invest in innovation, continue to invest in growth Capex, and to even participate in some bolt-on acquisitions when the right opportunities would be there.
Yeah, and maybe on a personal note, I mean, the second request, as you know, had the final consequence that our long-term CEO and then chairman, Harolf Kottmann, actually decided not to stand for re-election. He was deeply involved in your recruitment process as well. So how do you see this step?
Yeah, as a CEO, I work closely together with our executive committee, but indeed I also work closely with our chairman. So this does affect me personally. I was looking forward to work with Harolf on the continued success of Clariant. But I will say I am pleased with the decision, and again, a unanimous decision by our board of directors to nominate Günther von Au as our next chairman. I had very pleasant interactions with Günther during my recruitment process. He knows the company very well. He knows our business very well. I really look forward to work with Günther starting from the 7th of April.
Yeah, Conrad, thanks very much for this openness and these insights. So to conclude this, is there maybe a final message that you have for our employees?
As a final message, Kai, I first of all would like to thank all of our employees for their hard work, for their achievements in the last year under challenging conditions. Secondly, I very much look forward to work together for continued success in the year ahead of us. 2021 should be a better year for all of us, both from a professional as well as from a personal perspective. Thank you.